Hey guys, I'm just going to do a little bit of a tutorial here for Valkyrie 2. Now, it's not going to be much of a tutorial, but it's basically just the means of allowing players to understand the basics of the game. Now, I don't want to spoil too much. All I'm going to say is that this will only spoil bits of Chapter 1, which is very short, and the only thing it's going to spoil is the characters that you get in Chapter 1. But, other than that, it's going to stay in this area for now. When we do go into further sections, I will warn people that there's going to be spoilers, but that's when I talk about the more advanced stuff. But what I want to talk about here is just the basics, because I know that a lot of people are going to play this game and not know what they're doing. So I'm going to explain how the skill system works in this game, because it's a bit convoluted. So basically, let's go into the menu, and we have Sylphide here. She's one of the first Einherjar you get. Now, there's another Einherjar you can get instead, called Richelle, but I got Sylphide. So, as you can see, Sylphide has nothing, and there's all these skills that she can learn. And you can see you've got like different skills. You've got star skills, which, as you can see, have stuff like Fists of Iron, which are very useful, and a few other interesting skills that bring some utility to the table. They kind of affect like statistics and that lot. So it's like you can basically, well, not all of them, but like you get more health, like you get more attack power, you get more magic damage, you get more defense, you get more magic defense, you get a load of different stats there, but for a condition and all that. And yeah, you get the gist of it. Attack skills are combat related, but basically these skills aren't really necessary unless you're trying to do something interesting with the combat system. Now, they can definitely help, and they're definitely useful, but I find that a lot of people won't put them to the best use unless they're like advanced players. Like stuff like Spirit Control, for example, is a really handy skill if you're doing combos. Breakup's handy because it gives you a higher chance of break mode, which essentially allows you to attack freely without any limits for a brief period of time. Mighty Blow is kind of basically just making it easier to break guard. It's not really the most useful skill. Heat Up means that it's easier to perform soul crushes, which can be handy if you want to do like a chain of soul crushes and you don't have a character that can kind of like build up the fourth soul crush. You want to give a character heat up so that they can build up that fourth soul crush. And the edge skills essentially like attack multiple times with an attack. It's basically like straightforward like that. Overload increases the power of magic, but it also affects the allies as well. So yeah, they're a bit more complicated, like skills like Overload. But yeah, we get to defense skills where you have Survival, which is basically like a more balanced version of Guts in Valkyrie, the first game. But this one leaves 1 HP after a fail attack, so it's not as broken as Guts, where like you have a really high percent chance. And that's basically how this works. So it's very different from Guts, because Guts is very much based on like RNG. So this one is more of a fixed skill, because if you have at least 10% of your maximum HP, you'll stay with 1 HP. That's kind of how it works. So it's a fixed skill in that regard. Now, reflex movement increases evasion, which can be handy. Magic Mail allows you to guard against like magic attacks and stuff. And yeah, you've got all of these different skills, like First Aid. Every time that like you take a hit, you might restore a portion of the damage back to your health, so it kind of like deals less damage from an enemy in a way, but Obviously, you have to survive that hit for the effect to happen, but basically, it's kind of like after you get hit, you restore half of like the health that you lost. And yeah, like as you can see, there's loads and loads of different skills in this game. Now, reaction skills are more advanced skills. If you're not going to play this game on an advanced level, you are not going to use any of these skills, so there's no point in even covering them for people who are new to the game. But if you want to get involved in like combos and like try all of the intricacies of the combat system, then yeah, you'll want to learn these skills. But if you are just playing on a casual level, you're probably never going to use them. And critical skills are interesting because these skills, with the exception of this, these skills are all situational skills, except from dismantle and desperate measures. Those are a bit different. But these skills right here essentially grant a multiplier to the damage that you deal against a specific type of enemy. And they can be a game changer. So if you get one of these skills and you're fighting an enemy that essentially fits the category, like for example Giant Killer, if you're fighting an enemy that's a giant with this skill equipped, then your attacks will be more effective against them, and it can make a huge difference in a fight. So if you can get these skills, it can be really handy, but only against specific enemies. So yeah, but still, I do highly recommend learning these skills when you can, because it can make your life a lot easier. Like, particularly Giant Killer, because there's quite a few giant enemies, and quite a few enemies that kind of like are considered giants. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Anyways, now you want to know how you learn skills in Valkyrie Profile 2. So the thing about Valkyrie Profile 2 is there's a ton of accessories. As you can see, you have like different types of accessories. You have red, green, and blue rune accessories, and there's no rune accessories. Now, the no rune accessories do not learn any skills, so you won't use them to learn skills. They're more used for late game when you're trying to do more intricate setups, whereas the runes are used to learn skills. So before we start with the accessories, we want to talk about like the main equipment. As you can see here, we have red swords here, which you don't have a blue sword at the moment for this character, so we're just going to equip the Viking sword just because why not. Anyways, we have red and blue helmets here. I'm going to equip a blue helmet here because it's going to be easier to use this for now, because I'm going to be talking about the early game, and early on you'll be getting blue runes more often than red runes. Same with body, you've got like the red body armor, you've also got green body armor, and you've got blue body armor. So I'm going to equip this, and you've got like gloves as well, you've got leg gear. So yeah, as you can see, this is the body rune, the arm rune, the leg rune, and the helmet rune, and there's a weapon rune. Now, you'll need to have these runes to combine the accessories together. Now, the way this works is that, as you can see in this specific area, any of the runes it connects to are runes that will be used to learn a specific skill. So basically, I'm just going to sort it so that I can get the blue runes. So basically, as you can see there, I can have a blue sword rune with Sylphide, even though she doesn't have a blue sword, I can still have the rune with the busted greatsword. But as you can see, there's all of these runes here, and if we scroll down, we'll eventually find this rune, which is a fire rune, a blue soul flame, which essentially has the effect of like 40% chance of negating freeze during a battle. But it's not really that useful, really. It's just a situational accessory with a percentage chance to trigger something. But if you notice, the body rune from our body armor and the blue soul flame are lit up. What this means is that you can learn a skill from them. So if we press X, it'll form Fists of Iron. This is the most important skill to learn in the game, and the moment you start playing the game, you should immediately learn this skill because it is basically always useful throughout the whole game. There's never a reason not to use this skill unless you're using a mage character, in which case it's kind of pointless. But if you're using anything that isn't a mage character, you want this skill equipped at all times. So yeah. So as for other runes, well, there are other runes, as you can see here. So we have the fire rune, but there's also the ice rune. This is what you want to use for mages. Same thing applies. Like if you're making a mage character, if you're using a mage character, then you're going to want to use this rune for the mage character. But if you're using a melee character or an archer, you don't want to use this rune at all because it's a waste of a slot when you could learn something else. Speaking of learning something else, we have another rune down here, which is an earth rune, and as you can see, now we're learning 45 Physique from putting the body rune and the earth rune together. However, and this is what the game doesn't tell you immediately, notice that all three runes are flashing. That means that it's learning both skills at once. So you're learning both Fists of Iron and you're also learning the 45 Physique skill. As you can see here, the skills that are highlighted in yellow, those are the skills that you're currently learning. So if we add another skill here, see if we can find a lightning rune. Here we have resist magic, but we also get reflex movement, and that's because we connected that lightning rune to our boot. As you can see, the hex that you have here, well, I think it's a hex, but it might not be a hex, but it's like the little sort of like grid thing that's next to the boots there. If the grid aligns with the other rune, that means that you can actually learn the skill. So you can't learn the skill if it's not connected to the necessary rune. However, as long as it's connected, like as you can see here, you only need a body rune to learn Fists of Iron. However, let's say you didn't have the lightning rune next to the Swede boots. Well, let's swap them around, shall we? And put the lightning rune up here. As you can see, now we have resist magic, but we don't have the other move that we got, which I'm going to show you again what that move was. And the reason for this is because, as you can see, reflex movement. We didn't get reflex movement there. The reason being was because it wasn't next to the foot rune, and that's something that you want to bear in mind. But with Fists of Iron, it doesn't matter because the cuirass, like that we've equipped, which is the blue rune, is in the middle of it all, so you can place it anywhere. There's also the arm rune as well to consider, as well as the helmet runes, so you want to make sure they all connect properly. And yeah, there's other runes that you can get. As you can see, there's green runes, but right now you just want to place a resist rune, which gives us force field 100. Now we're learning 1, 2, 3. Trying to find the other rune, that might be somewhere. Ah, here we are. 4, 5. 5 skills at once. However, force field 100 is not really all that useful. I don't think it's a necessary skill to learn in Valkyrie Profile 2, so I'm not going to bother learning it. Instead, I'm going to learn something else. Now, what I would usually do is not put Fist of Iron up here and not get this ability here. And the reason being is because I want to get something else. So I'm going to remove these and I'm going to get a different rune up here. As you can see here, well actually no, I'm going to put this one first when I get to it. I need an activation rune. Where is the activation rune? Should be up here somewhere. Here we are. Activation rune here, and we have a resistance rune here. Actually, I need to make sure we actually learn it first, because I think is it a starter skill? No, it's not. It should be somewhere, but because I'm kind of like messing something up here. But this sums it up really, doesn't it? Like, what I'm trying to learn is the free item skill. For some reason, I can't seem to find it. Maybe I'm just blind, I don't know. That's why I don't usually do videos off the cuff, people. But right now I see no other option. Yeah, that's weird. Why I'm not able to learn free item. It's usually possible. But I guess not. Maybe it's because I don't have, like... No, it can't be that. Or is it? Maybe it is, actually. I need to actually link it with a busted greatsword. Maybe that might be the problem. Hang on, what's this? Oh yeah, breakup. You see what I mean, people? Like, the skill system in this game is complicated. But yeah, we accidentally learned breakup. So even if you're just messing around with runes, you can just find combinations and just like learn a random skill. So yeah, that's breakup, which as you can see increased the chance of entering break mode. But that wasn't really the skill I was looking for. I was looking for a free item. And for some reason, I couldn't seem to find free item. I don't know why. Unless I already have it, but surely I don't already have it. Like, I mean, let's look at the skills. Do we have free item? Oh, we do! My mistake. I was wondering why I wasn't learning that, but yeah. We already have free item learned on her. I forgot about that. I thought she was just a clean slate. But yeah, free item, as you can see, if you look at the learn skills down there, that's the combination I was trying to make, and I already had it. That's why she didn't learn it. But I found breakup instead. Now, free item is a very useful skill in this game because it allows you to use items with no AP cost, and AP governs everything in this game. It governs how many times you can attack, your ability to dash to get a tactical position of the enemy, or better tactical position of the enemy, because if you're not dashing you can only walk, and when you're walking the enemy's walking as well, so the enemy can essentially chase you down for as long as you're moving. So you don't want them to chase you down and accidentally like run into their attack area, because that means you're going to get hit. So you want to retain as much AP as possible so that you can dash away to prevent being attacked, so that you're far enough away from them so that they can't hit you. And free item helps with that because it means you can use an item without any AP cost. Now, obviously, you can only use one item for a certain amount of time because there's a limit to how often you can use items in this game, and you have to let time go by a bit just to use another item. But it doesn't cost AP, which is very handy, and it's a very broken skill in that regard because, well, if you use spells instead, they do cost AP, so yeah, having this skill definitely helps. But as I say, that's basically the skill system of Valkyrie Profile 2 summed up, and there's not really much else to say, so I'm going to go over to the next part now. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of a spoiler for Chapter 3. If you're not in Chapter 3, then don't watch this video any further and just shut the video down now. But if you're in Chapter 3 and you've reached the dungeon called the Surberg Mountain Ruins and you've finished that dungeon, finish that dungeon first before you keep watching. If you've finished that dungeon, then keep watching. If you haven't finished that dungeon, go finish that dungeon first. Okay, so now, once you've finished Surberg Mountain Ruins, you should have 2 characters in the party. I'm not going to show them here because I don't want to spoil, because I've got all the characters in the game here, but I'm just going to keep with these characters. But I'm just going to talk right now and just explain a few things. Now, there are characters that will join your party called Leone and Arngrim. These two characters are important because if you level these two characters up to level 40 by the end of chapter 3, then you will obtain a weapon. Now, obviously, I'm going to bring up here. This weapon, the Bahamut tier, can only be obtained by leveling up Arngrim to level 40 by the end of chapter 3. If he's level 40 after chapter 3, it won't work. It has to be level 40 before the end of chapter 3. And you'll get this weapon, which is extremely powerful. Like, this weapon also comes with Dragon Slayer on top of being insanely powerful. But the thing that's interesting about this weapon is it has 600 attack, which is insane. Like, if you get this sword, you've pretty much beaten the entire game. Like, the game is a cakewalk at this point. So, once you beat chapter 3, and you have Arngrim at level 40, you get this weapon, and you can steamroll the rest of the game. You can more or less eliminate most of the boss fights easily with this sword. It's so overpowered. The only downside is if you want to do it, you're going to have to grind Arngrim. Now, Leone also has a sword that you get for her if you level her up to level 40 before the end of chapter 3. And that sword is the best sword in the game for Light Warriors, but I don't really have it equipped right now. This is one of the swords that you get, which is the Slashing Sword Farewell, but this isn't the sword I'm talking about. The sword I'm talking about is the Valkyrie Favor, which has not 210 attack. Just pretend that this is the Valkyrie Favor, because this is the sword that you do get when you reach level 40 as well. You get this sword, but you'll also get the Valkyrie Favor, which is equipped to someone else right now. Now, the Valkyrie Favor has 500 attack, and it's the strongest weapon in the game. Although there is a weapon that you could say is stronger, but only if you have a specific character who has a specific kind of like setup. But other than that, it is the best weapon in the game because it's got the same attack power as that weapon. I'm not going to bring up that weapon, but let's put it this way. You get 500 attack, and that's insane. So, yeah, there's another weapon that you can get at the end of chapter 3 that essentially lets you break the game. And it's good to get both of them, but it's especially good to get the Valkyrie Favor because you can use the Valkyrie Favor to send Einherjar. So regardless of whether you're going to use it to break the game, it's an additional weapon that you can use to like release Einherjar. I know I said send Einherjar, but that's not the point of this game. That's more Profile 1. This game you're releasing Einherjar, which I should probably go into. To release Einherjar, you want to essentially go over here and you can release Einherjar through the Free Soul. Now, releasing Einherjar is a big deal in this game because if you release Einherjar, then you'll be able to get stupidly overpowered in the late game. The thing about it is, though, is that if you want to get insanely overpowered, then you're going to need to equip the Einherjar with your best armor. You don't need to equip any accessories, just armor and weapon. Make sure the armor and weapon are the best you have, and then send them, and you will get a ton of stat boosting items that you can put on any character. Now, if you have the best equipment in the game, and you equip the Einherjar with the best equipment in the game, and then you release them, for every single Einherjar, that's called perfect release. And it requires a lot of grinding because to get all the best gear in this game is going to take a long time. But if you do that, and you release that Einherjar, then you'll get a ton of stat boosts, which you can put on one character and make that character insanely powerful. And they can just completely steamroll the game. Now, you can also use Seal Stones to boost this even further by adding even more damage multipliers, which makes things insane. I mean, if you have Psychosoma, you can also use any magic boost that you've gained from the mages you've sent to make you even stronger. So, yeah, you definitely want to consider that. And, yeah, like that's one thing that you'll want to bear in mind about releasing Einherjar. However, there is another thing that I want to note, and this is an early game strategy for getting through Chapter 3. If you want to make Chapter 3 easier, then it may be required to send an Einherjar early on. The thing about it is that making Chapter 3 easier comes at the cost of not being able to perfect release later on, because you'll be releasing an Einherjar early to get a really overpowered item. Now, this overpowered item is only obtainable if you have Krad in the party. Now, as you know, I have Roland in the party, who is the alternative to Krad. I did not get Krad, so I can't get the Kradicator. But if you do have Krad, if you send him during Chapter 3 and you talk to him at his house in Vilnor, he will give you the Kradicator. This weapon is pretty strong for Chapter 3, and it will make Chapter 3 a lot easier if you get it. But you will be able to perfect release later, so bear that in mind. But if you're struggling at the game in Chapter 3, that's a strategy you can do to essentially make Chapter 3 a lot easier. So, yeah, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is just to kind of make things a little bit easier for people when they're actually doing combos. So, as you can see, there's a lot of different moves that you can learn in this game. A lot of different moves. You'll start off with 3 basic attacks, but eventually, as you level up, you'll learn more moves. And it's important to know what moves you're actually using in fights, because those moves, as you can see, you have multipliers here, which says increase the special attack gauge 5 times 3 hits. Now, you see the 3 hits there? Well, those 3 hits are important to bear in mind. As you can see, that's 2 hits. That's 1 hit. Now, if you are new to this game, this is what you want to do. You want to unequip all of the multi-hit moves. Don't equip anything that has anything more than 1 hit. Don't. Only equip 1 hits. Now, the reason being is if you're the sort of player who's button mashing because you don't really want to engage in the combat system because you suck at beat 'em ups and you suck at making combos and you just want to play at a casual level, then you only want to use moves that have 1 hit. The reason being is that if you button mash one of these moves with the 3 hits, it will only do 1 of those hits. So the increase to the special attack gauge will just be 5. It won't be 5 by 3, so it won't be 15, it'll just be 5. And the same goes for the hits, it'll just be that 1 hit, because you cancelled that move into the next move, which is turnaround. Now, if you go to just 1 hit, then you'll do 1 hit into 1 hit into 1 hit, and that makes things a lot easier. Another thing to bear in mind, and I don't think I'll be able to show it with Alicia because she doesn't really have many of these attacks. As you can see, you have a lot of attacks that are just horizontals and stuff, and you have some verticals, but they're vertical launch moves which launch enemies into the air. I suppose one move that I can use as an example would probably be turnaround, but it's not really the best move that you can use as an example. I'm going to see if I can find one for Roland. As you can see, we have a launch here, we have a horizontal here, and there's another one that's a launch. Yeah, there's this one. This character has a lot of launches, it seems, as well. So this isn't really going to be the best example either. I'm going to see if Sylphid has anything. A downwards attack from above. Now that sounds promising. If any attack says downwards and it's essentially going to knock an enemy down and it's a vertical attack, that's the sort of attack you'll want to use if you are new to the game. As you can see here, I have 2 downward verticals here. Although Double Wind has 2 hits, so that's going to be really hard to use. But ideally what you want is a move like this, Sunset Luster. Yeah, that's a more complicated one, but Sunset Luster. It has one hit and it's a downward attack. These are the best attacks in the game for people who suck at action games. If you suck at action games, always go for the attacks that hit vertically downwards. Because what this will do is it'll make it so that you're not launching the enemy. If you launch the enemy into the air and you follow up with another attack, that attack will probably miss. But if you only use downward verticals, then it's more likely that every single hit will connect because the enemy is going to stay in its position more likely. Now, I can't guarantee you this because enemies do tend to like bounce about, and let's put it this way, the hitboxes for enemies aren't necessarily generous. Sometimes it can be, but it depends on the enemy. You really have to be careful how your hits connect in this game. But if you're using downward verticals, it's a lot more likely that you'll be able to succeed against the enemy with connecting your attack. And that's why I highly recommend moves like Sunset Luster, which is a downwards vertical attack. And I want to kind of do a battle to kind of like see if we can like show an example of this. By the way, as you can see here, I released the first AI you get in the game, which is Mithra. And when you release them, they become NPCs. And you can talk to them. And if you talk to them, they'll give you, well, they might not give you, but they'll give you an item. As you can see there. They might not, but they might give you an item. And that's how you get the Coradicator. But that one's the item that you get from Mithra. So, yeah, we're going to go over here. And we're going to fight one of the enemies here, and hang on a minute. Yeah, a bit slow there, but this is one of the early game fights. I'm just going to send in Sylphide on her own because she has the move that I want to use here, which is the move that, as you can see there, it's a downward vertical. That's the move that you want to use because it knocks the enemy down, it doesn't knock them up, and if you knock them down, you can follow up with that move, which is the 2-hit move, as you can see there. But because I didn't have a third move at the time, I didn't cancel it, so yeah, as you can see there, what I did is I pressed X, and after that I pressed X again. I didn't press X 3 times. That second move that hit 2 times, that was a single move. If I pressed X again, it would cancel that move into another move. That's why you don't want to do that. So here we are, we've got our ambush here, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do this, and yeah, he blocked it. Great. So we're going to do this again, and we killed it in one hit because we're so stupidly powerful. But yeah, we just press X and then X again. So now I'm going to show you what happens if you cancel a move. Now I haven't actually used Sylphide that much, I'm going to be honest, so I'm not really too certain on whether it's going to work, but I need a weapon that has 3 attacks. I'm going to use the Walloon Sword. Right, so as you can see, now I have Assault Step, but I'm not going to use it, I'm just going to use a different move. I'm going to use, actually, can I use a different move? I don't think I can. I could use Sneaky Throw, but I don't think there's any point in that. I'll just use this. Right, so now we have 3 attacks here. And I'm just going to just fight this guy down here, or fight this motherfucker over here. Right, here we go. We're going to do the same thing, but this time we have a different moveset, so... And yeah, it died instantly. I think that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, it's because they're dying instantly. I'm going to need to fight something a little bit stronger. So, we're going to do that. Oh, great. And I would walk into that immediately. I might as well just bombard everybody with everything now. Yep, there we go. Because this is usually what it's going to be if you button mash. As you can see, one of the attacks missed there. That's what you want to avoid. You don't want attacks to miss. And that's kind of what I'm trying to help you avoid by setting up your attacks in a way that makes things easier. Now obviously if you're going for more advanced combos, you're going to want to use the different attacks because you can get more hits, and if you generate more hits then obviously you're going to deal more damage. So that's what you want to do if you really want to engage in the combos. But yeah, we're going to fight something a little stronger here. Now I don't actually know if this move is going to be cancelled out, because I haven't really used this character all that much, but I want to see for myself. I think this character actually doesn't cancel, but there are moves that do. I'm going to try and figure out. Actually, did we cancel there? I think I did. Yes, as you can see, I cancelled it, but let's do it again. That's how you're supposed to do it. But if you notice, you see that cancel? It only slashed once. That's why you don't want to button mash in this game. That's what happens when you button mash. You will essentially get a cancel of the moves. So instead of doing like this, as you can see, that was 5 hits there. Now let's cancel the move, and we'll by button mashing. And as you can see, I keep attacking, but I have all the AP, so that's why. As you can see, I'm using a lot of AP, but I was button mashing there. That's why it looked like I got a lot of hits. But yeah, I got 4 hits there, not 5 hits. That's without using like the multiple AP thing. So yeah, I lost 1 hit because I was button mashing. But if I don't button mash, I'll get 5 hits. You see what I mean? And that's something that's very important to understand when you're setting up attacks. So I'm not really particularly sure what other setups I have, but let's take a look at Alicia here and see what she's got, because she might have some attacks of her own. As you can see, she has very simple attacks. She's just got single moves. Now, if we're going to combine these moves together, which might not be possible if I don't heal Sylphid immediately, but I don't have enough AP to heal, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to dash. Now he can't actually reach me. Move around a bit as he chases after me. Now I have enough AP to heal up Sylphid. This is how important AP is in the game, people. It's very important, because as you can see, when you're moving around, they're moving around and he just hit me. So now we're going to attack together, and that was a bit of a mess, but we kind of did it, I guess. But I'm just going to focus on Alicia first. But yeah, that's using it all at once. But I don't know if I actually got a good combo there. That's the only problem. There we go. We got 8 hits there with the combined strength of both of those characters. Now if we button mash, we got 6 hits. Let's button mash again just to make sure that we're doing it properly. Actually, did we get 5? I don't know. I might have missed a move on Alicia, but yeah, you get the gist. That's how it can affect the combat system. Oh, whoops, I think it's a bit slow there. There we go. That's how it can affect the combat system in this game. So, if you want to essentially juggle, you can, but that's why I recommend downward verticals, because if you use a mix of different attacks, well, it's going to end up being pretty crazy. Now, I don't know if I have any launches, because this is not really a pie that I use, but we're going to try it anyways. So let's see what we can do here. As you can see there, we're getting purple gems. Those purple gems are refilling the AP, so every time I hit an enemy that's downed, I'll get purple gems. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I might as well just finish the fight. Yep, definitely not a professional video. That's one thing for certain. Hopefully I can get back to doing better videos later, but I just thought that this video was going to be essential for certain people who want to get into this game. Right, there we go. And this one should kill him, because Roland is extremely high level, and he's a character that I did use at one point. So yeah, as you can see, I got a direct assault because I had that gorge on the right hand side. That was full. If it's full and you kill the leader enemy, you get a direct assault, which usually gives you an item, and it also gives you more magic crystals. So yeah, and magic crystals can also be gained by air comboing, so that's another thing to bear in mind. And yeah, unfortunately, I need to get that guy now. Yeah, there we go. Now I can fight that guy, but it'll be easier to just fight the guy from this side, and that's what I'm going to do. Why do things the hard way when you can do things the easy way? And it's a fish guy. So yeah, I'm trying to think. As you can see, that launches the enemy into the air. That hits downward. Notice the gems that came out of the enemy there. So if you do this, we'll get a gold gem. The gold gems happen when you hit an enemy downwards when they're in the air. So when you knock an enemy downwards when they're in the air, you'll get gold gems. Now, as you can see there, I got a magic crystal. You see what I mean? That's kind of the way that this combat works. It can seem a little bit complicated, but that's kind of how you're supposed to replenish AP, by timing your attacks well. So let's do another launch. Let's do another one of these. There we go. There's some AP gems, although I should have timed that a little bit better. Done it in advance. So I got that golden one, because the golden ones, I find like that they can, I think, give you more AP. I'm not too sure though. But from what I've seen, it seems that they do. Even I don't know everything about this game, but yeah. As you can see, we have 94 AP now. And I want to do this with 100 AP, and I want to see how much AP we can actually use with this combo here, this basic combo. So there it was on the ground, we got 91. Before, I don't know if we got more, but let's see if we can do this in advance. And we got 100 back. You see, this is the difference that it makes. You just got to pay attention to that AP gorge. Because we got the gold orbs from hitting an enemy when they were airborne with a downward move, we got more AP from the attack. So that means we can do more combos. And that guy got hit, and every time you get hit, obviously that will replenish AP as well, but you don't want to get hit. That's the point. You want to get as many attacks in without getting hit. That's the point of this game. So let's launch it, let's hit it down, and we kind of screwed that up a bit. Oh well, let's do that again. There we go, we got one gold one. And as you can see, we're getting magic crystals with this as well. So we're launching it, we got a gold one there, and we broke it. And as you can see, these enemies are broken. When you break an enemy, sometimes they won't be able to move at all. Now, obviously I'm going to lose time, but I'm just showing that they can't actually do anything to you. They're basically at your mercy now. You can just run around the battlefield however you want. Do whatever the hell you want, because they can't move and do anything to you. And this can happen sometimes when you immobilize an enemy. So if you break an enemy, you basically just leave them sitting ducks sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it can just remove a function. Like if you break their weapon, they won't be able to attack you with that weapon. So instead, they'll do something else. But this just sums up how important breaking is and how it can make a huge difference in fights. But you can also use breaking to gain accessories and stuff. So if we're just going to like break this guy completely, I don't know if we'll be able to, but yeah, as you can see there, we got a green bubble core. That's an accessory which you can use to learn skills, as I showed before. So that's kind of how this game works and how it flows. So we're just going to hit this guy a few times. There we go. And he's dead now. I think that should essentially explain this game as best as I possibly can to people who are new to the game. So yeah, if you watch this, I know it's a bit of a mess, but I do appreciate watching it, and I hope that I was helpful to you all with this video, because I know it's been a bit of a bitch getting through this slog of a video, but if it helps you in any way, I do appreciate the fact that you decide to watch it, and I hope that you benefit from it. So yeah, see you guys.